Hi everybody, this is Julissa. Thank you so much everybody for coming back to my channel, and thank you so much to everybody who's watching, who is listening right now in the podcast. It is Monday, February 23rd, 2026. I'm here to speak about the missing mom. She went missing 24 years ago and she was just found. So I'm gonna give you the story about that. Before I continue, I want to say thank you to everybody who is using Spotify to listen to this podcast. Don't forget to follow me there. And of course, thank you so much to everybody who's watching and listening using YouTube right now. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. And thank you so much to everybody who's using a different type of platform. So when I heard about this story, and you guys know, if you've been listening to me for a while, you know that I speak about missing cases a lot. I think the one that I've spoken the most about is about the disappearance and the disappearance in the case of Jennifer Dulos, and this happened in 2019. And I follow all of that throughout because what they try to portray regarding Jennifer Dulos, which is she's the mom of five who went missing in May of 2019 after dropping her five kids at school, and this happened right here in Connecticut. What they were trying to say about her was that just one day she basically gave up on her family life, I guess you can say, gave up on her kids and just dropped off everything and left. That I can never understand. How can they say a man will do something like that, right? There's usually something else behind that. People don't just, especially abandoning their kids. We don't see cases like that. That's so rare. Usually there's something behind there, something that was already brewing, I guess you can say, behind the scenes, things that happen in people's house that we're not aware of, even though they seem in public like they have the perfect life. Obviously in the case of Jennifer Dulles, it's a whole different thing that happened there, but the case I'm going to talk to you guys about, which is the mom who went missing 24 years ago, she basically did everything that people don't expect moms to do, like I was saying just now. She just one day decided not to return back to her family, and she has been missing for 4 years. This is very shocking. So I'm going to tell you her story. And it says here, a North Carolina mom who went missing 24 years ago has been found alive and well. But the woman's family, as well as law enforcement, are still left with unanswered questions about her disappearance. On Friday, February 20, the Rockingham County Sheriff's Office shared that Michele Hundley Smith, now 62 years old, that's her name, Michele Hundley, who was first reported missing on December 31st, 2001. So imagine the world how it was back then, right? Right after the attacks that happened in New York. I think by December, people were like optimistic. I saw everything that happened in New York, but by December 2001, people were so optimistic to kind of move forward, I guess you can say, and see what's ahead and all of that. Um, and she goes missing right on the 31st, the last day of the year in 2001. And she was reported missing then, had been located, and now has been located after detectives received new information about her disappearance. On February 20th, this is a side note here because we always say somebody knows something. People don't just poof out of the air and like nobody knows what's going on. I think it takes for people that know information to kind of take that step forward and say, oh yeah, I have seen that person, I have seen that missing person. It's like the case of Nancy Guthrie. Somebody knows exactly what's going on there. So it gets to the point that if, they can receive so many tips, but until somebody makes that decision to do the right thing, like it's gonna take a while for people to kind of know eventually where the person is, right? So it says here that on February 20th, so 3 days ago, a sergeant and a detective made contact with Michelle, with the lady, at an undisclosed location within North Carolina, and she is alive and well. The sheriff office announced at her request her current whereabouts will remain undisclosed. So officials said that Smith's family was notified that she has been located and they were informed about her request to keep her whereabouts undisclosed. And she was just 38 years old when she went missing out of Eden, North Carolina. Her husband was the first person to report her missing back in 2001. Investigators say that she left her home to go Christmas shopping at a Kmart in Virginia on December 9, about 17 miles away from her house in Eden, and she never returned home. An intensive investigation was immediately launched. The sheriff's office wrote, adding that Rockingham County Sheriff's Office remained on the case for 2 decades. Over the years, the case drew the attention and collaboration of multiple agencies across North Carolina and Virginia, and including Drug Enforcement Administration and the FBI. And it says that her family members also continue to search for the missing woman. Her daughter even created a Facebook page in 2018 to collect tips, right, about the case, and other family members, including her cousin, Michelle's cousin, Barbara Bird, have been outspoken in the media about keeping the investigation going. I think this is the shocking part. This is why I never believed that people will actually do something like this, because number one, it leads to heartbreak to the other family member that perhaps you didn't have an issue with, right? Because they also will be looking for you, and also it leads to innocent people to be accused of doing something that, or being suspected responsible of doing something that you choose to do on your own, right? So let's just say normally when people go missing, especially wives, right, they usually look at the husband, right? And they say, oh yeah, they will argue all the time, look into the husband, and these people will get investigated to the T. They get to go through an extensive investigation. They even have people tracking them down everywhere they go, tracking their phones, and go through lie detector tests. And like, why would you want to put your family to something like that, right? And don't you see the news? Like, this is what's happening now. Your husband is a suspect about something that you did, and he has nothing to do with that. And to go through that and also have children involved, they look at everything that's happening, and see the things that people might say, the false statements about their father, just because mom decided one day to never return home, right? How crazy is that? And sometimes I think when people make decisions like that to just go on their own, especially when they have a family unit, they don't think about everything else, right? They think, oh yeah, he will take care of the kids, they're gonna be fine. But there's so many things that affects them psychologically too, right? To just one day just disappear, and family members and everybody else around them will get their mind going crazy. It will affect somebody to not know where their loved one is. Have they eaten? Do they have a place to stay? Are they treating them well? Did somebody kidnap them, right? So they think that they're just basically escaping, but they're not thinking through everything that is evil affect the people that they leave behind, right? Because a lot of people rather do that instead of go through therapy, I guess you can say, if something is not working as expected. And in a lengthy statement shared on social media, her daughter Amanda expressed her complicated feelings upon learning that her mother is alive. And she said, I am ecstatic and I'm heartbroken and I'm all over the map. She said, will I have a relationship once more with my mom? Honestly, I cannot answer that because I don't even know. My initial reaction would be yes, absolutely, but then I think of all the hurt, like I was just mentioning. But even then, my mom is only human, and as we are all. And she said, I kind of want to go outside and scream, she's alive. My biggest question is to her, what happened all those years ago in December? What made you leave? What happened? And I understand and respect that want to she doesn't want any of us to contact her. I am not angry, she said. The biggest answer I had today was that she was alive and nothing else matters right now at this moment. So this mom who has been looked for 24 years by her family has been found, like I just said, and she absolutely want no contact with her family. That's very cool. Like I know people can make their decisions and they can, they can, it's their life, right? But it's like, wow, the longing for your family. Like, okay, let's just say you had issue with the husband, you had issue with some of your siblings, but your kids longing and searching for you and longing to hear you once again, and you're like, yeah, I'm good, I'm doing good, but I don't want no contact with you guys. There's something crazy there, right? It's like it makes you wonder, wow, um hmm, I wonder what went down there. I wonder how old the kids were when this whole thing happened. Or maybe she's just ashamed to confront them, right? How can you look at I mean, I'm laughing, but it's a very serious thing. Like, how can you look at your family, your children, and especially when they need you when they're growing up, right? At that age, and just be like, I just left because I put myself first, I guess you can say. And she probably doesn't want to go through that judgment, I guess. That's why she's avoiding to see them. Let me just see what else says here about her. So this happened on December 31st, 2001. Like I said, I'm trying to see. You, I do apologize about the searching that I'm doing right now as I'm recording this. From what I heard, also is that where they found her is not that far from where she lives. So it's like, it's almost like I know I have seen when they do rescue effort for people that go missing, and the family members they have this type of instinct, and they say to themselves, "Oh yeah, I know she's alive," or they say, "Oh yeah, I know she's alive," and they feel like I know she's very close by, right? And it's like, wow, I do apologize for the noise here, but it's just crazy how some people they just they feel it, they just know it, and I guess it's because they're related to them, right? Um, After the news broke that her cousin has been located, um, she Burr says he expressed her confusion about the missing person case. People, I know one thing, something strange that happened to me years ago. I don't know if I ever shared this before. And people do, people, I'm laughing because it's very strange. People do live very interesting life. One time I went with one of my coworkers to show support to another coworker who was like, doing her side thing outside of her 9 to 5, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I produce like theater shows or something like that." And we're like, "Oh, let us know when you're having a show, which we'll show to support you." When we got there, it's so funny. I'm laughing and not related to this story, but it's just interesting how people do have this double life, right? So when we got there, we were completely surprised by her reaction, right? She knew we were coming, and as we're parking, she's calling us. She's like, "You guys outside?" And we're like, "Yeah, we're here." And I mind you, like she is like directing this whole event, right? And she's like, "We're like, yeah, we're coming in." She's like, "No, I'm gonna go talk to you guys right now." And we're like, "Okay, so okay. I mean, why are you leaving your stage to come and talk to us?" And as she comes and finds us outside, she said, "Glad you guys are here. I'm gonna show you to your seat, but don't tell anybody about this other job that the company that we work together with. Everybody around here knows me by this name. Nobody knows anything about me. No, they don't even know that I go to Connecticut or something like this." And I'm trying to be discreet. Everything that was told to us, it was like we looked at each other. We're like, who is she? She gave us a whole list of things not to say. She's don't mention this. Nobody knows me by how you guys know me. Nobody knows anything about this. And nobody knows where I work with you guys either. We were like looking at each other like, and in that moment, we should have just not even go inside. But it's almost like you're set out to do something like to show support. And you're like, okay. And then she's like, okay, come on in, guys. And we were like, we just looked at each other like, oh my goodness, is this even happening? And I think, you know what reminded me of that story? The story of this woman. You telling me that for 24 years that she was missing in the same area, and you know when somebody goes missing, you see the fires everywhere. And people will if you're local, people will talk about it like at the supermarket, at the gas station, that you see the flyer and it's in the local news and all of that. If somebody's missing from the community, especially like that, right? Just vanished, right? Just completely got up and vanished after she went to Kmart. I'm sure for 24 years, this woman had to lie like that, right? She probably was confronted at some point, was like, hey, you look like the lady in the poster. Don't you have kids? And she will have to constantly be telling people, nobody knows me. That's not my name. And I'm new in this area. And, that's not me in the poster. And you would think that it's a rare case, but excuse me, what I just told you about that lady that we met at work, after that encounter, we never saw her again. I think she quit. She ended up quitting her position where we used to work at. And right now I don't even remember her name, but I remember what she looks like, but I don't remember her name. But people do live interesting interesting double life, I guess you can say. And in this case, it's one of that. So I want to read the comments before I finish here. It says here that somebody said, it fascinates me how quickly we conclude we understand 24 years of someone's life from a headline. I'd rather leave room for what we don't know. Another person said, what a selfish woman to allow her own daughter that anguish in addition to her family. We would like to disappear when things are tough, but never in a million years would I put my kids through that. What kind of sick person does that? And then, somebody said, how can a mother leave her children? Something is off with the story. There are serious excuses this woman can give for leaving three children behind. Somebody said she deserved no forgiveness. And then most likely, and somebody said all she had to do was call the police and tell them that she's safe and that she had to leave. She could also have told them when she's not coming back, but instead she chose to cost the taxpayer lots of money and the pain she caused her family. This was a horrible thing for her to just walk away and have people think that she's missing or even dead. Yes, and that's what I'm talking about. I mean, just say, because the people do this. Now that I'm thinking about it, there are people who do this, but usually they'll call from like a different country and be like, I couldn't handle it anymore. And I'm good, don't contact me or something like this. But for her to just basically be in the same state, I believe it was, she was found in the same state, and to see her family probably doing TV interviews. This is 2001 when it happened. Probably doing TV interviews. Probably were on American Must Wanted, reaching out. Did anybody give a tip? Like it's almost like you're looking for something, and you know exactly, like you see somebody looking for something, you know exactly what it is, yet you still holding on to it, and you see somebody struggle to find, and you still doing that. You're still gonna hold on to it just because. Like I will never understand somebody's mentality like that. I will never understand why people do something like that, right? Especially like her children probably so young, three of them, right? It says here. And it says here somebody said she not only owes them an apology, she also um owes that city for all the man hours they put in looking for her. Also people do rescue team, right? They go out there, they people get volunteer, people print flyers. And the thing is, In a case like this, when there is a husband involved, most likely that husband will go through torture. The suspicion about him, especially him being perhaps the last person to see her alive, before she went missing, or even reporting her. Like it happened not long ago. There was a case of a teacher who went missing, and everybody was accusing the husband, right? And the stuff that was being said about him and all of that. And then they finally find out what happened with her. But that's the thing. Thank God there isn't somebody in jail because she went missing for so many years. 24 years. A person would have probably would have been already been sentenced, okay? Already, somebody who probably saw her in the parking lot, right? A Kmart, anything. It could have been anything, especially when there is a mom of three missing. They put a lot of pressure on police to come up with the solution, right? To a conclusion. What happened to her? Especially going shopping during Christmas season, could have picked up anybody who looked suspicious in that parking lot. And we're like, oh, it's this guy who was hanging around the Kmart or something, right? So it goes to show you, you really gotta go deeper into every case, I guess you can say. And do people have double life? Yes. It's crazy. So could she have been I'm trying to read some of the comments here. Some people have their limits and they break. Somebody said just leave her alone. That's what she wanted. Yes, that obviously her children are not gonna go harass her now and be like, let's have a relationship, mom. Like I miss you. She, especially, it takes two, right? They don't want nothing to do with you. Like really, why are you even trying, right? Especially when somebody was in the proximity, knowing that you were looking for them, and they have absolutely no intent in being found. So let me know, guys, what you think about this case. It's just, you know, I hope that everybody that goes missing is found safely. And we are still praying for Nancy Guthrie to be, I guess you can say, recover safely, return back to her family safely. But this case of Michele Hundley Smith, who's now 62 years old, is just one of those cases. Let me know, guys, what you think about this. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming to the channel. Thank you to everybody who's listening in the podcast. Have a good day.